Welcome back to another episode of the Shortsighted podcast. Today we're talking to Claire, who's improved her myopia from -8 diopters, a staggering -8 diopters, to -4.75 diopters so far in the last year and a half. That is over 3 diopters of improvement in a relatively short period of time. We're having a somewhat longer and meandering chat. I hope you enjoy this episode. Here's Claire.
Hi, my name is Claire. I am a data scientist. I live in LA, and I started to wear glasses since I was like 4th grade, and I'm in my mid-30s now. When I started with myopia, I was about, like contact lens wise, I was about like -7.5 for my left, and then -8 for my right. And then I have like a little bit of astigmatism for both eyes. And it's like 1.5 years now. Right now I'm wearing I'm wearing 4.25 for my left and 4.75 for my right. So I've reduced, that's the math. I've reduced like, what is it, 3?
You're a data scientist. You should know these.
I know. I know. I'm like, what is it? It's so hard.
Oh, this is starting out well.
Yeah, so I have reduced like a little bit over 3 diopters. Yeah, I think it's been like almost 1.5 years or so.
That's a lot. That's a lot of reduction. And you know what? I wondered, like right from the start, I'm curious how you felt about, and I'm really asking, this is not just a podcasty question, being a data scientist and having that analytical perspective on things, how did that affect your finding myopia and getting into this whole topic?
Okay, so I think I spend so much energy and my focus on my energy and like, for my eyes during work. And so like I just like have to use the computer like so much, and then like, and I have to think so much. So a lot of times, like actually after I'm off from work, I'm just like, oh, I'm so tiring. Like I'm just tired, and then I like to just sit on the couch and just, like I just don't really think that much after work. But I have to say that my vision has been like kind of getting worse, like after my school and all that. And every year when I went to optometrist, they will be like, oh, at the beginning, they will be like, your vision will be stable after you get to your mid-20s. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll be doing LASIK at that time. So I'm like checking frequently if my vision has been stable or not. And then I went to grad school, so they're, it's just getting worse. And then their period, it gets a little bit better. I got excited, but then it get worse. So it just like kept getting worse until a point where I think probably 2 years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, I was like, oh, I need to Google about something. So I went on to like YouTube. I might have searched on like Google for like, vision improvement stuff. And I think I came across, I think his name is Ted Baker. Like it
Todd
was
Baker,
one of the, Todd, yeah. So
Becker. Todd
Becker, yeah. Sorry. Todd Becker, yeah. So he has like this, conference presentation that I watched, and I was like, oh, this like totally makes sense. And and also it's at like kind of like a professional setting, because like I'm kind of used to more like conference, you know, like setting stuff. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. But I don't know. I think I just didn't feel like it's very clear what exactly I have to do and stuff. So I kind of like lose track to it. And I think until like after 1 year, I went back to the optometrist, and then I've been really trying hard to keep my prescription for like maybe 3 years or so, because I got really scared that like it go above like 8, and then they really wanted to put me at like -9. So I have this like anxiety and fear. And I think what really make me feel that I you know, decided to like, oh, this is it, I really have to find a solution, was in 2019. Like I went to get my eye exam, and then the optometrist said that he will not, it's like actually illegal for him to let me keep my current prescription, because he was saying that I might not be able to see the street signs clearly. So then I was like, oh no, you know. So then I went online, and then I think that's how I discover you. I also have like a little bit, you know, feel like when I saw Todd Backer's YouTube video, I feel like after I watched that, I might have seen your video just below. And, you know, with like a thumbnail saying like, you know, you have this face, you know, the eye guru face, and then like from like -5 to like 0. And then I feel like I have seen it, but then I was like, I don't know. I feel like at that time I was like, oh, you know, who's this guy? It's probably not real, you know, because I'm so used to I'm just like so used to, you know, the science, like you have to show me the science and like conference, you know, stuff. But I do know that the optometrists are not necessarily like, I guess, like completely right, because you know, I would go in there and and say, hey, my vision is actually better last week. It's just because I've been working like 10 hours like computer work, and then my eyes are blurry. It will get better. And then they'll be like, no, it's not possible unless like you have like, you know, some kind of like eye disease or something. So I kind of know I think for a while back, I kind of know that there's a way that I can prevent my vision from getting worse. And then like sometimes after close up work, I do know that my vision get like, you know, more blurry, and then the next morning or like a week later, it just get better. So, and I actually have a close friend, and she used to wear glasses in high school, like -3 or something. And she's like, she has like perfect vision. And she was saying that like she just dropped her glasses, and after a few years, you know, I'm pretty sure she's doing it like, you know, without knowing it a little bit. But anyway, I kind of like know that when I go to the optometrist, it's not like everything they said like make perfect sense to me. But I'm clearly not thinking like a data scientist.
So how did you start out? Like I'm curious about like, and again, this is the data scientist question of how did you start with this whole process? And I'm just wondering if your work background plays into how you worked out starting from your beginning myopia to where you are now.
I think that maybe like just going through your website at the first time when I discover it, I just, you know, I think I might have like, you know, read a little bit of the publications, but not that many actually. But I feel like it really makes sense in like a science perspective. I mean, you know, I'm, I don't think I'm like, you know, like extremely like, oh, here, I'm a genius, you know, like, you know,
So did you
I don't
buy
think I
like so?
am.
Right, but so you did you start off? So you were at seven minus seven something,
0.5.
7.5. So did you just buy lower correction glasses online, or did you go to the optometrist? So how did you start that whole process?
I think I ordered contact lens from, there's like a UK website. Yeah, so I know that I wanted to do contact lens because I wear contact lens like mostly. I did not go back to the optometrist until like a year later, and I feel like it didn't go that well. So, but yeah, you know, when I started, I think I just follow your email. I signed up I think it was like 7 or 10 days like free email guidelines, and I feel like they're very informative. And then I believe that I've just like watched all your like YouTube videos just, you know, in a week or something. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like I didn't really have to think what to do because I feel like, you know, in your email, there's some instructions, and then your YouTube videos, you're pretty much giving people guidance. So not much. I don't think my background as a data scientist like really help.
Some people really struggle though. Like I definitely, it's maybe not most, but I get a lot of, why isn't this clear enough? Why aren't there more details? So it's hard for me to know because I live in this bubble of I know how it works and then it seems to make sense to me, but it doesn't always.
Yeah.
But how much did you reduce the first time?
The first time I reduced by 0.5, and that's like the increment of, you know, of the contact lens that I could do. So actually, you know, I mentioned to you that I started because I went to the optometrist, and then he didn't allow me to keep my prescription or the current power of the contact lens. And then I was like, just give me some time, my eyes will get better. So he scheduled, he's like, okay, come back in 2 weeks. And I was like, I have to get this done in 2 weeks. And you know what? In 2 weeks, I don't think my first pair of contact lenses have arrived, so which will be like -7 for my left. And then I went back and I could see the whatever the line, you know, I don't know which line, but I could see well enough that he let me keep my, you know, contact lens prescription at that time.
Huh, interesting. So then you got the -7. How was that first experience compared to the 7.5?
I think when I put on the 7, I think at first it was kind of blurry. Yeah, so I think at first it was like blurry, kind of back to when I was wearing 7.5, but like after a lot of close-up work. And so I kind of, you know, feel like it will get better. But yeah, I did, I think it took me like probably like a week to get used to, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah.
And what were you doing for close-up at that time? Like glasses
So
wise?
I got the like a pair of reading glasses, and then I just used that.
Oh, okay. Is that still mainly what you're doing now?
Yes, I am. Yeah, yeah.
So that's because we're talking about 3 diopters, right? That's a lot of reduction. Do you see the same with your current normalized as far as eye chart and general outside as you did in the beginning with the 7.5?
I think they're probably similar, but maybe like slightly more blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we
I
not
mean,
really
they're
doing
similar.
no eye chart in your place?
There is an eye chart from your website.
Yes.
Yes. So I have an eye chart in my office. Well, at work.
Yeah.
And when there's one eye chart in our living room. I was thinking about putting another one in the bedroom because it has like brighter light. Yeah, lots of eye charts.
Yeah. And what can you, which lines can you see 2020, 2030? Where are you at with the current normalized?
So with what I'm wearing, I think when it's a good day, I could see probably 2030.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when it's not a good day, then probably 2050. Yeah.
Which is totally fine as long as, right, as long as it works for you, all this stuff, as long as it works for you blur horizon wise, and as long as you're like practicing active focus to overcome some of that blur, that's totally fine. Like 2030 to 2050, depending on lighting and depending on how much you spend up close, is about right. And how much is the plus that you're wearing as far as reading glasses?
I think I'm wearing +1 or 1.5. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's
No, this is good. This is totally good because I
have to say that I work. Data science is my job, and then after that, I'm just like a normal.
Yeah, no, but it's a good example for you don't have to be super precise about it. A lot of people approach this whole thing very methodically, and I was kind of assuming that was your area also, but I relate well to how you're doing it because that's how I did it. And I think if somebody introduced me to myopia today and I had all these resources, I would do exactly what you're doing. Like, it's close enough. These reading classes are somewhere between 1 and 1.5, and they do the trick for me. As long as you're making improvements, there is no specific need to be more detailed or analytical if it doesn't suit your preference, right? Like, it's totally fine.
Yeah. So I think whenever I reduce will be like if I could see like 2030. I think I would, I would just would try to reduce a little bit. And for my reading classes, actually I have two pairs because there's like a +1 and +1.5. And I think sometimes when I first had my reduction of my normalize, I might put in like a +1 as opposed to this. Just because, I don't know, it just seemed to be like the text, usually I put this on when I look at my phone, like anything like reading a book or basically this distance. And I would put on this. So I think whatever the pair that let me see it clearly.
Still not following the rules. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. I always say less. In general, I recommend the fewest possible amount of focal plane changes so that we kind of enjoy. Sometimes we enjoy more clarity, right? And your brain gets more reference clarity, which is good. And then sometimes there's more challenge, right? So having one close-up focal plane correction generally is the right idea, just because it gives you that range of sometimes it's more challenging, sometimes it's less challenging. But at the same time, if you know what the quote-unquote correct way is, then you can always get back to that if what you're doing doesn't work, right? And in your case, 3 diopters of reduction, clearly what you're doing works for your personal scenario and environment. So that's definitely fine, for sure. Or spend less time on your phone.
Yeah, so, I have been really making an effort, and I, I try to send audio messages instead of text messages. I don't really look at my phone that much, actually. My phone is always on silence.
You know, I noticed that, and we were just going totally off topic here, but I go to Hong Kong and Macau a lot, and I noticed that most people there, they use messaging apps, but they send audio messages. They don't message text-wise.
Yeah, it seems like audio is pretty common over there.
Yeah, I never see
Maybe
that
they
elsewhere.
maybe they realize that their visions are getting worse.
They can't look at their phone anymore. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. So
yeah.
how do you get new contact lenses? You just buy them from that same UK website?
Yes. So, yeah, as far as I know, it was the website that has been, people have been talking about on the forum or like, the YouTube comments and stuff. Yeah. So I've been doing that.
And they never hassle you about why do your diopters keep going down?
No, they don't. I hope they won't, because I am just feeling so desperate because I live in LA and oh man, if there's no prescription, forget it.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention their name either.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We don't mention it. I think there's more and more of this now where you just buy whatever you want online, I think. And I see more apps being developed where you can measure your own eyesight with the phone, and that qualifies. Because the whole prescription thing is a giant racket anyway. In some countries there just isn't a prescription, you just buy whatever glasses you want. And in the US, they spent millions of dollars lobbying to get glasses classified as a prescription thing so they would have that whole market, right? Because the wholesale price of glasses is like a couple of dollars, literally like $2 or $3. So in order to sell those things for hundreds of dollars, they had to monopolize that whole market. And that's why this stuff is prescriptions. Right? Like, it's not like prescription drugs, right? Like, there's things where if you take that pill, you could be in real trouble. You put on the wrong diopter glasses, nothing's going to happen. It's just a marketing strategy.
Yeah, like when I first, or before I moved to the US, my mom took me to, I don't know, see like an eye doctor in Macau. Not the optician, but I don't know. I think it was just like a general like primary care doctor or something. And then he told me that my vision will get better after I move to the US because the space is bigger so I can look farther away. And then I was like, why is it not getting better? And then,
God, I hear so many crazy stories from people what quote unquote doctors have told them, especially about eyes. I'm like, how do people come up with this stuff? It is true though, like in Hong Kong, Macau, Singapore, the myopia incidence rates are much higher. And there was some study, I think I put it on the website somewhere, from kids that have moved from either Singapore or Hong Kong to Australia, had less myopia than the kids that stayed. It was a really interesting thing, but it's not because things are bigger and further away. It's just because there's less studying requirements, and kids just generally spend apparently less time up close, or did at that time in Australia, than they did in Hong Kong.
yeah, I mean, the education system is pretty intense there. I mean, I remember just, like after school, just like homework, and like the apartments there are also like smaller, so it's not like, most people, they can't really see like, 20 feet, like, within their home. So I don't know if that, yeah.
So how do you feel now? Like, when is the next reduction coming, you think?
I actually feel like I have reduced like a little faster than I maybe should have, actually. And actually, I think So I've been wearing this for like 2 months, but back then I was going to reduce like, so it's like 4.5 as opposed to 4.25. And I actually reduced further. It's not supposed what we're supposed to do, but the reason I did that is because I've been just staying at home, and some of the when I look at, I feel like I do not have enough blur challenge. So there are certain plays that I use as there's like my neighbor's license play. I would like look and then I'll be like, okay, this is always clear. I can't do like active focus and stuff. And so that's why I reduce a little bit. And I think for outdoor vision, I'm good. I always feel like when I'm outdoor, I'm like, okay, the reduction is, it's coming maybe in, I would say like maybe a month. But when I'm indoor, it's a little bit like, I feel like sometimes it still take a little bit getting used to. No, not getting used to, but like in terms of the how clear I can see, it's not quite there yet. Yeah. Anyway, but I hope that I will. I think I plan to wear this until I could reduce. I hope that I could do it in like another, month or two.
Yeah, indoor is always like that because the quality of the lighting and then the amount of lighting, right? Like whenever the light reduces, your pupils are wider open, any kind of focal plane error is going to be more noticeable. So that's always going to be the case for sure. And you know that because you've made plenty of reductions already. And it's definitely a good idea to, considering how much you've already reduced, to be a little bit conservative.
Yeah.
But then also you'll notice, right? Because there'll be, you put in the next reduction and you'll know how much more blur there should be. And if that amount is all of a sudden more, then you know that maybe you're a little bit ahead still.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like, my vision gets better. And then it depends on like, I feel like it mostly depends on the amount of close-up work. Right? That makes sense. And it's just like, it depends. And they just kind of go up and down. So, I kind of go through this up and downs as it seems like the other members are also like experiencing it. So sometimes I feel like, okay, this is great. I can reduce in 2 weeks, but then it's like, oh no, let's just wait for a little bit more.
Yeah, totally normal. But on the other hand, I mean, you're under 5 diopters. I'm always more comfortable. Like when we're talking 7, 8 diopters, that's a lot. Like that's kind of a problematic amount of myopia. But under 5, like in the 4 range, you're already in this moderate myopia area where you're close to 3. And at 3, I'm really, what your friend did, what you said about your friend who just got rid of her glasses, that's not fun, but you could pull that off at a -3. You wouldn't want to, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's still doable. Whereas as a -7, you would just forever be in blur. So you're headed into an area already where it's like you only have moderate myopia left, whereas before it was kind of on the high side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited because like I think at the, I've been sitting at that -7.5 for, I don't know, like for quite a few years. And then I mean, I could hardly see anything. At home, it's just a piece of blur, it's just blurry everywhere. And I think when I get down to like maybe in the -5 area, like one time all of a sudden, like there's like this artificial like plant in my bathroom. And then I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I could see the texture. It was like, there's like a rose and then I could see the petals. And I was like, what? You know? And then, but I think lately, uh, I would sometimes see this, I think it's called what is it? Clear flash or something.
Mm.
It was my neighbor's car. It's probably, I don't know, it's just like out in the other driveway. It was the license plate that I would look at with my glasses to do like active focus in the morning. And yeah, and sometimes I would see it. I was like, what? Wow, it's amazing.
Right. Yeah. And that's once you're in this moderate myopia territory, there's a lot more of that possible. What your friend used probably to get out of the -3 that you can't really do with high myopia. Right. So you're already in a great spot, and it's a really short period of time. You're probably not going to get from -4 to -0 or the last diopter quite as quickly, but you're definitely on your way. You're going to be without glasses at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited. I think when I started, you know, my journey, I was just like I was like, this is amazing. Like, I was like, what is this website? Who is this like eye guru? I was like, this is like so amazing. Like, it's just like, I feel so like, it's just almost like a miracle or something, you know?
We're gonna
It's like I
say
got this like disease or something, right? And it's like suddenly, what? I could cure my vision or my
terrible.
eye. Yeah.
We're just gonna take this little bit of audio when you're talking about the amazing eye guru and just have
Yeah.
that be the thing, because obviously, right? Like, okay, I'm also curious about this. How much of that when you first started out was making it harder to get into myopia? Because people complain a lot that I joke too much and there's too much sarcasm, and the eye guru thing puts them off. What's your take on that whole thing?
I mean, I have to say that at the very beginning, because I think this might be the only thing that's related to my background, is that I was hoping to find like an eye doctor, you know, and they'll be like wearing like, you know, professional like you know, like suit or like whatever they're about to, you know, do like a presentation, that kind of style, and talked about, you know, like a doctor, very professional setting and like very serious, and you know, I thought that was something that I was trying to look for, but I don't know. Actually, I mean, I could understand that maybe some people will be like, oh, who's this Jake, you know? Because you have like, because it's kind of funny, right? You some of the video, you have your cartoon beer, and then I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the casual. I mean, like personally kind of enjoy it later, because I think I read your blog, and it's very, you know, it's all based on science. So then I know that you're not like making the stuff up. And when it's like based on science and you trying to say it in more of a casual or funny way, I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
know. I
know.
mean,
Because my whole thing in the beginning, I was like, I don't want the way we got in trouble with the eyes is because this institutionalized trust that we have, right? Like we just trust what you said, professional looking doctor title on the
yeah.
wall. We just trust that that's accurate. And that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Because we can't learn everything about everything. We need to be able to trust people to just tell us the right way. But this is one of those topics where that trust got us in trouble. So my whole thing was just, I'm not that guy. Like, you can't trust me. You can look at the information and then figure it out for yourself. But then a lot of people go, I don't have time for that, right? Like what you were saying, like having somebody who is from the right side of that table who will just give you the right answers. But I guess
Well,
not.
yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, finding your video and then just have to hear, you know, this whole, I guess, like the truth or something, about progressive myopia. It's actually a little hard for me because I came from, you know, my background is academic, and it just feel like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the case though. Like since I've started this and I've been on other people's podcasts that deal with actual medical topics, where I'm finding that there really is, and I'm not a fan of of seeing it this way, but that a lot of medicine is like retail medicine, right? Like is selling you ongoing treatments that just deal with symptoms as opposed to actually fixing a problem. That seems to be unfortunately kind of common. And even though myopia is not an illness or a medical condition, really it's the same kind of thing where they just treat the symptom instead of addressing the cause. I think we're in that space right now where everything needs to make money. And the only way for something to make money is to not actually fix it, is just to maintain it at some level where people can still function.
Yeah, I mean, I think like in a research perspective, I would be like, who will fund this research project? Like to say that like glasses, oh, okay, glasses just you know, it's not gonna be that great for your eyes.
Nobody will
Um,
fund it. Actually,
it's
but
like nobody funded.
no, what they do fund is projects that relate to patentable products. So for example, there's contact lenses that deal with peripheral defocus, that slow myopia progression. They basically do the
Yeah,
same thing as differentials do, except
yeah,
very complex product, and it's patented and it's very expensive. So, and I have for that product actually have all the sales presentation materials that quote the science that show that minus lenses and defocus cause progressing myopia. So they know all of this stuff. And they even
yeah,
in that sales presentation, it even shows that myopia can be reversed. They talk about axial change. They talk about all the things that we talk about. The problem is, like you said, there's no funding for that if there's no end product that can be marketed and sold. And in our case, there isn't, because all you need is lower diopter glasses till eventually you don't need glasses. And that's not something that anybody will fund because you can't patent it, you can't market it, you can't sell it.
yeah. It's not providing any, I guess, like more, maybe even like research area in like LASIK or, you know, things like that.
Yeah, and it probably would be possible to get funding for it on some level, but then even if you can get a study funded, then to get a completed study to reach the general public is a whole another topic, which again, then who pays for that, right? Like, because then you would need PR, you'd need people to have a reason to publish the thing. And if there's no product behind it, or if there's no market behind it, there's no point, right? So this kind of topic is, I think, going to be fringy in general, except for people who are interested in it, because there's just nothing, you can't make a living, right? Not selling a thing to people,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah, I think
ultimately, you wouldn't even have myopia in the first place if somebody would have told this to you just like from the very beginning when you got your first glasses.
yeah, I mean, well, I mean, like, I just, you know, honestly, from time to time, still trying to recover the fact that, you know, all the eye doctors has been telling me, like, you know, wearing your glasses at all times and all that stuff. And I remember actually when I started wearing glasses, actually before that, I somehow really wanted to put on glasses. So I got my mom's glasses and I put it on when I was a kid. That might have ruined my vision. But yeah, I mean, I think that around that time when I was in fourth grade, that there was this concern that like kids did not do well in school because they couldn't see the board clearly, right? Like that kind of thing. So like my mom took me and my brother. I do remember that I was sitting kind of far back in the classroom, and then yeah, I had a little bit of issue to look at the board, but it's not like I can't see anything. But then when my first position was like a minus, I think it might be a minus 2.5 around that. So I was actually kind of surprised because like now that when I think about it, the moment I put on my glasses, it was just like all the floor was just, you know, tilted or stuff like that. So this is not my first pair of glasses, but I found it when I visited Macau like a couple years ago. Oh, I was like, okay, one day I'll be wearing this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Do you know what those are? How many diopters? They look pretty low.
Yeah, I think they're probably minus 3-ish. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't look that strong. That's cool. Well, yeah, that must be exciting though. I feel almost like we should chat again, like when you're in that -2 range, because there will be that point where you really don't need the glasses when you're at home. Like around there, like unless you're focused on small print on a screen or whatever, just walking around, just being in your house. I have a lot of people who tell me around that -2 range where they just wake up in the morning and just forget about their glasses and just spend an hour before they realize they're not wearing anything.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I don't remember the time when I wasn't wearing glasses, like honestly.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be so amazing. I mean, definitely, I think it's, you know, I felt, I think maybe one of the reasons that like I've been kind of reducing consistently over time was that like I'm just like so like annoyed with my vision. And so I feel like so motivated and yeah, and I, you know, try to do active focus like all the time. My computer actually sit at 1 meter away, so I'm wearing my normal ones and I'm doing active focus when I'm working.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, and experiment. You can experiment with that, especially when you're saying one of the things that you mentioned is sometimes your eyesight seems worse and it's related to your amount of close-up. And it depends on your work environment, obviously, but you might figure out that there is a certain amount of time after which you have a ciliary spasm that just doesn't want to go away. For me, for example, that's about 3 hours. Like I know if I spend more than 3 hours looking at the screen, then my day is going to be screwed. Like my vision, because I don't need glasses, I'm past 20/20 most of the time, but I will get a ciliary spasm that will be kind of stuck if I don't give it a rest after 3 hours. But then if after 3 hours I find an excuse to spend ideally an hour, but even if it's a half an hour of just distance time, I can get back to some computer time, maybe not quite another 3 hours, but quite a bit, right? Like let's say another 2 hours. So if I'm really working on something for 5 hours, I stop at 3 hours.
Yeah.
I give myself as much of a break as I can. I can hit another 2 hours and then I can ride my motorbike home through city traffic and I'm fine. But if I did the whole 5 hour stretch, then I can't, right? Like the ciliary spasm is enough to like, I'm not safe to be driving around right now. So you might find that
Yeah.
like, where is that point where you're overdoing it with your close-up? And the easiest way to do it is to just have an eye chart or something at a distance that's challenging to read when you start working and just periodically check on that, because there will be a point at some point where that thing is just blurry and no matter what, you can't clear it up. And that's when you know your ciliary is just blocked. So if you figure out that timing, that can be super useful to not have those periods where your vision doesn't seem to improve.
Yeah, I mean, I think haven't like quite figure exactly the time, but I do notice that like the 20 rule really work for me, but it's just really hard to take a break after 20 minutes. Is like crazy. And my office has no window, and then so I have to like go out, and it's just like pretty much like impossible. So I when I'm at work, I try to take a break like every like hour or so. But even though if I'm not taking a break, I might like try to look as far as I could, maybe like, I don't know, like 10 feet or something at my eye chart. But I think the last couple months, like we started to like work from home, and it kind of helped me out because like I could look out the window like where I am during the day. So, but I do get like my eyes get blurry like really fast. It's like if I look at my phone, I don't know. It's just like almost like after, I don't know, like 20 minutes, when I look at my eye chart, it's already a little bit blurry. So like I noticed that anything like, you know, like within the distance of my arm, it's just like really bad. I can't hear you.
No, I'm unhearable. There we go. What tends to happen there is just because we have so much close up, you get a ciliary spasm really quickly from a certain distance. Pretty common. I tend to get it also. So replacing that phone distance as much as possible with, like, for example, I carry an iPad now with me in my bag, and I have my phone with me, but my goal is to just not use my phone at all. And instead of checking my phone 5 times in an hour, I just, in 2 hours, I will sit down somewhere and I'll just catch up on notifications and messages and things I have to deal with at a more appropriate distance. Not completely necessary, but all that little bit of screen time adds up. And there's also that addictive tendency of just pulling it out and looking at it. And then you're meant to only look at one thing, but then you look at 5 things. And there's just something about that your focusing muscle just goes into the spot where it doesn't want to come out of. And if you avoid those somewhat consistently, then you will get less of them. You know what I mean? Like if you're managing a month to do a lot less of that, then you notice you can put your phone in front of your face for a little bit and you won't get that distance blur right afterwards.
Yeah.
But that's details. Like right at this point, you're still improving at a rate that it doesn't matter what. Like as long as you're like this, there's no need to change anything.
So I'm just taking this not very, like a science project or things, because I'm like, okay, it's working. And then I think I usually, when I got stuck, I was like, okay, let's try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. And a lot of times, and it's totally like that, a lot of times there's no need for that. The reason I always tell people, okay, this is the correct way, is because when you get stuck, I want you to be able to know, like, where is the likely mistake, right? Like, where does the troubleshooting start? Like all this stuff we just talked about, you don't need to worry about it. As long as you're improving it the way you're improving, just do whatever you're doing. It's just, I guess it's for other people who may be listening to this stuff, the little bits that when you're right at that edge, and some people are just not improving because that ciliary spasm is just, there's too much of it, right? And they're just spending enough time to resolve it, but not enough time for your ciliary to stay relaxed so you can take advantage of the stimulus. And those are the things, it makes me sad or depressed when I read emails or messages or comments in general when people are not making progress, because I'm always trying to point to this bit of the troubleshooting is really simple. Like it always boils down to what you were saying. I spend 20 minutes on the phone and everything's already blurry. If that's the case and you're not improving, those 20 minutes you have to get rid of. You don't, because you're fine, but other people.
No, sometimes, I mean, I did have, you know, the experience of like everything. Well, I don't know. I don't necessarily. Yeah, I mean, there has been like, you know, times when I just got busy at work and then I just couldn't take a break in like, you know, an hour or so. So it was like I just stare at the screen for like extended, you know, maybe 2 hours or 3 hours or longer. And then after that, it's just like, oh no, all my effort erased. So
I mean,
yeah,
it's temporary as long as you're wearing differentials, as long as as you're not dealing with defocus too much. Your eyesight's not really going to get worse. It's just not going to improve, right? Like if you're not wearing normalized, if you're not wearing distance glasses for close-up, you're usually fine. But yeah, you'll be stuck in that spot for a while. Sorry, something came up on my screen. Yeah, so I think just keep doing what you're doing for now. As long as every 3 to 4 months you're ready to make a reduction, it's perfectly fine.
yeah, I think sometimes I, you know, probably like others, just really eager to like, oh, you know, go down one more reduction and stuff like that. So like reducing too fast is, I think, something that like I have to remind myself.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like so exciting, you know? So I was like, anyway, I mean, it's been like, I don't know exactly. I think I started in like October. So it's like 1.5, maybe a little bit more than a half, 1.5 years. Like, it's been like, it's exciting the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it must be because you made a ton of reduction. It's somewhat unusual. And it's usually a sign that you were overcorrected to begin with, right? And that there may have also been some not so great habits with the close-up. Normally, that's kind of what we're at. Because if it's more than a diopter a year that you're able to reduce, there's usually something else going on. Like your glasses were just strong to begin with.
Yeah, I think like, yeah, maybe the first 3 months, you know, I think after that, it's just kind of normal. I think my progress has been pretty, like reduction every 3 to 4 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Like after the first maybe 3 months. Yeah, I was actually like, I realized that. So I've been wearing contact lens and I have astigmatism. So I'm wearing like this toric contact lens. And one thing that I realized that had been slowing down my reduction a little bit is that when I switched to my glasses, because I can wear contact lens, you know, all the time. When I switched to my glasses, it's almost like, you know, my contact lens might have rotated, or I don't know, they're just the cylinder, the axis might be not exactly the same. So then my eyes will like, if I wear glasses for like over the weekend or something, or even if I do like a little bit of active focus, then like when I go back to my contact lens, is like, oh, like I have to like get used to it. So I think that might have been slowing me down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't love toy contact lenses because even though like they're weighted, right? So they're supposed to give you the cylinder correction at the right axis, but it's like, yeah, it moves, right? And it moves, and so the axis keeps changing. And while it's close enough, I'm not the biggest fan. How much cylinder do you have?
0.75.
Oh. And then see, like if if you had differentials, just differentials, not like plus lenses over contacts, you could look into getting rid of the astigmatism, like, because there's no, I can't definitively say how much, but usually doing close-up you need less cylinder correction than for distance. So it's entirely possible that you could take half a diopter of cylinder out, maybe, right? And then have a differential that just has a little bit of cylinder correction left. And then you get a bit of, potentially a bit of ghosting, ideally not. But then if you don't get any of it, or it goes away after a couple of months, then you can start reducing the cylinder for distance also. Handy thing to get rid of, because those contact lenses are more expensive and they're not that great with that additional focal plane change.
Yeah, I mean, I think I maybe at some point I wanted to work on it. But you know, despite the fact that like contact lenses are not good for our eyes and blah, 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 you know, I do find that my eyes are actually like more comfortable in contact lens, because if I wear glasses, I don't know, it's just like give me like headache looking at the screen after like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be less noticeable with lower diopters. The main thing with, I mean, contact lenses give you much better natural vision, because like they're on your eye, you have the optical qualities better, you have more peripheral vision, so they're generally, they give you better eyesight, right? Most definitely than glasses. More noticeable with higher diopters. So as you get into lower diopters, that difference is going to be less noticeable. So even if you don't do it now, even if you wait till you're maybe another diopter lower, and then just experiment with getting differentials that are glasses, you know, especially if you're working all day, that might work out possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been wearing like contact lens a lot, and sometimes the air is like so dry, and I know that I'm just not supposed to wear it, you know, so I've always like feel like, well, people said that you can't wear contact lens, you know, there's like a limit. I was like, okay, you know, maybe time's up for me.
Well, the part of the problem is during close-up, your blink rate is reduced a lot. So what happens is, blinking is what brings tear fluid in your eyes. So when you're staring at a screen, your blink rate may be 5 times less than it would be normally when you're looking at a distance or when your eyes are moving normally. So now you're wearing the contact lens, which needs tear fluid to flow in your eye. You're getting less tear fluid because you're staring at that fixed distance. So the combination of that is not so great. Also, you don't really take advantage of the contact lens because you're only using about 5% of your field of vision as you're looking at the screen. So all those benefits of peripheral vision and all that stuff is kind of negated. What you said though, when you're sensitive to the difference of that, you're not going to want to switch to glasses. But for example, if you're at -3 something for distance and around 2 diopters for differentials, at that point, it doesn't really make a big difference to be wearing glasses, right? So it might take you a week to get used to a 2 diopter pair of differentials, but then you won't have to deal with the astigmatism, which you want to get rid of before you get down to the last diopter anyway. And then that'll be a whole new little bit of an experience next year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Okay, so I don't think this is like a data scientist analysis or what, but I have been recently started to measure my centimeter measurements. Just recently, and I do, when like I started, I have like just like Excel file where I track all the changes, and then I'll like make notes and stuff. And I have like a Excel chart of like the line like decreases. I posted once on like the Facebook group, I think. And then I was like, yay, this is so cool. And I even like fit like a, you know, regression line over there, and then like trying to calculate. Yeah.
There will be soon, an iPhone app that will do all that stuff for you, because now they have the camera that does the depth sensing, so you can just hold it from your face and it will tell you how far it is from your face, and you can tell it where you start to see blur, and it'll give you centimeters and diopters, and it will chart it for you, and it'll save the data, and it'll do all that stuff. I've played with it already. It's currently in beta, so it'll make all of those things a lot easier for people, especially who don't want to measure regularly. Because there's definitely a benefit, because it's almost like the gamification of things, right? Like if you see that line and if you see that trend, you're going to want to have that trend continue.
Yes, but yeah. That's very true.
It's one more thing I have to do that I don't want to do.
So it's like an app that you're developing?
Yeah, it's currently just for iPhone, because I can't afford to have 2 sets of developers for Android also. But because the newer iPhones, since iPhone 10, have like this depth sensing camera, it can give you an exact distance to your face, so you don't need the measuring tape or any of that stuff.
Oh, that's really cool. Yes. Yeah, that's like so cool. I mean, ideally you have this like myopia app, and then you like start it out, measure your vision and all that, and then like, you know, tracking the progress, and then you like project like if you're doing this, and then you will get to this.
Yeah, exactly. That's the plan. Like right now, we're working on the measuring and logging the data, so you'll have access to that. But my longer term thinking is, if that data is there, the app can make recommendations of what articles you should read if you need to be troubleshooting, if you're doing great, right? Like other people like recommending podcasts to people that are in a similar diopter range. I think there's a lot that can do. It's just, I'm going to be poor by the time it's done.
Oh, it's, you know, yeah, I mean, like, I just feel like this is supposed to be so important. Like what you're doing is just making such a big difference to the world. Like, and I'm sure that many people, you know, feel that, especially all the Facebook members and your subscribers on my YouTube. It's just strange that, you know, it's not like a money making thing or anything, you know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it could be, but I have other things that I'm doing, and if I turn this into that, I'm not gonna have fun with it, right? Like then I can't play iGuru jokes. I'll have to take it serious in a different way, and then I'm not gonna want to do it because I'm already doing things that are a little bit more profitable than this. Because this is kind of relegated in a space where I'm like, I have the freedom to be an idiot, right? Because it doesn't matter. It's not, I'm not looking at the financial side.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do it seriously. I don't think I could do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I guess like if you do it like seriously, then there are just like so many I don't know, like details about like what people think, you know, like there's just like a lot of things. It's as if like you know, when I make like a conference presentation or something, I have to think about like what people would think about this and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not ready for that. Like right now, this is still my morning procrastination project. Literally, I spend a few hours and I'm doing myopia, and it's just fun, and it doesn't matter what the outcome is, other than like I enjoy it, and I enjoy us having a chat, and I enjoy all of the positive things that come from it, but without the pressure of having to do it correctly. You know what I mean? Like if this was my living, man, I couldn't make sarcastic jokes and comments all the time.
So there's no pressure, fun.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I think for most people, this isn't so much of a priority. Like, unless you care about your eyesight, like so many people have more pressing problems than their eyesight that this doesn't make it on
Yeah.
the radar for them to spend time with, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, like like almost all my friends wear glasses, so I did like try to, you know, like talk to them, hey, and all that. And when I visited Macau, like it was like last year, I like print out like eye charts, eye charts, and like I give it to my brother. I help him to like put it because he has a daughter, like 7-year-old, and I was like, hey, put an eye chart there, and then like I also put like 2 eye charts in my parents' apartment, and then I was like telling them all about it. I talked to my dad about it. I actually like my parents are like interested. My dad never wore glasses, but he was like that make a lot of sense. I'm used to looking at iPad a lot, and then he was like, sometimes his vision is blurry. I was like, whoa, you better look at the eye chart. I mean, like, I think I talked to like so many of my friends that I feel like I'm started to slow down because but I think that like generally my friends kind of like they're like, oh, cool. It's like they're interested, but like, they might have other priorities or they feel like, well, I'm wearing glasses now, it's just kind of like fine at this point.
I think it's mostly useful to somebody who already is interested and just doesn't know that either there is a way or what the way is. Like if somebody doesn't care, I haven't found a way so far to make somebody care who doesn't care in the first place. But just to not make this podcast too long, I think the main point really is to go, you can do it. And like us having a conversation saying, okay, here's minus 7.5 and minus 4.5 in a year and a half span, that's possible, right? Like Claire did it. And I think that's really if somebody already has that interest of like, or is annoyed by the glasses or wish they didn't have glasses, or what you were talking about before, like you don't want to see it increase again. I think this is as good as it gets. What we can do is to give them that context of, here's Claire who did this much progress already.
Yeah, and I didn't do it in like a super nerdy way or what,
You did not do it in a super nerdy way, no.
Yeah, nothing related to my background, I feel like.
Yeah. Which also makes a lot of sense because I in my work, I also do a lot of things that are very analytical. And then by the time I get to myopia, I don't want to. I just want to play, right? Like it makes sense.
Yeah, so like I feel like, anyone who feel like this is important enough, who feel like they're motivated to improve their vision can do it. I feel like anyone can do it.
Yes.
And you got like so much I think one thing that I really appreciate is the fact that you put all these information, resources like online for free. It's just like so generous, and I benefit from it. I mean, I kind of feel like I owe you something, but it's so cool. Like it's seriously like really cool. It's like one of these things that has been getting me like so motivated in the last like 1.5 years. So I really appreciate that.
And there we go. Another podcast episode, another bunch of excellent gains. Check back. If you aren't subscribed to the podcast, please do. I'm keeping track of these and I'm going to hopefully do follow-ups with some of our guests, including hopefully Claire on her way back to 2020. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on our YouTube channel, and I will talk to you in the next one.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow.